Axilla is also called armpit. So this is the location of the axilla. It is a pyramidal shaped space situated between the upper part of arm and the chest wall. Upper part of arm and the chest wall. In between these two, here lies the axilla. And it acts as a passage for the structure from the neck to the arm and back. Okay. So axilla acts as a passage for the structures. Structures means nerves and different vessels. All those are passing from neck to the axilla and arm and the back through the axilla. Okay. What are axillary folds? Axillary folds you have to know during the dissection. Okay, dissection lines will be given along the axillary folds. Okay, so these are folds of skin within which a margin of muscles are enclosed. Two axillary folds are there, anterior axillary fold, posterior axillary fold. Anterior axillary fold covers the lateral edge of pectoralis major muscle and posterior axillary fold covers the latissimus dorsi and teres major muscle. Okay. And the armpit or axilla lies between these two folds, between anterior and posterior axillary folds. See here, here is the anterior axillary fold, here is the posterior axillary fold. In between these two, here lies the axilla. Next, we are going to boundaries of the axilla. During dissection, you have to see all the boundaries, its apex, base, four walls you have to appreciate, and what are the structures forming all these walls and other parts. Okay. So apex is directed upward and medially. Here lies the apex, directed upward and medially. Base is directed downward. Here is the base. And there are four walls. Four walls are anterior wall, posterior wall, medial wall and lateral wall. These are the four walls of the axilla. See here, this is a cross section through the axilla. Okay. So here you can see this is anterior wall. Anterior wall is formed by the pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, subclavius and the clavipectoral fossa. All are forming the anterior wall. Next, this is posterior wall. Here lies the scapula and in the subscapularis fossa, here is the subscapularis muscle, latissimus dorsi and the teres major. All these are forming the posterior wall of the axilla. Here is the medial wall. It is formed by the upper four ribs and the intercostal spaces containing the intercostal muscles and the serratus anterior muscle. Here is the serratus anterior muscle and over it lies the nerve to serratus anterior long thoracic nerve. You have to see long thoracic nerve over the serratus anterior. Next, lateral boundary is formed by the intertubercular sulcus of the humerus. You can see here is the greater tubercle and lesser tubercle. In between these two tubercles lies the intertubercular sulcus. Okay, and from the floor of the sulcus, this latissimus dorsi is taking origin. Okay. Next, we are going to discuss individually each of the boundaries in details. Okay. First, we are going to the apex, very frequently asked in your viva. Okay, boundaries of axilla is important for your theory also. It comes as theory long question. Okay, boundaries of axilla. And also important for your OSPI, viva, all those axilla is very important topic. So first we are going to apex. Apex is also known as cervicoaxillary canal. It is directed upward and medially towards the root of the neck and passage, it gives passage for the structures from neck to the axilla and back. Hence it is called cervicoaxillary canal and it is blunt or truncated. Okay, so this is the apex, also known as cervicoaxillary canal. It is bounded medially by the lateral border of the first rib, anteriorly by the middle third of the posterior surface of the clavicle, and posteriorly by the superior border of the scapula. Okay, so this is the boundary of the apex. So boundary of the apex, it is a triangular passage, also known as cervicoaxillary canal. This term is also asked in your viva, during Bones viva, okay. Anteriorly bounded by posterior surface of middle third of the clavicle here. Anterior boundary. Posterior boundary is formed by superior border of the scapula, and medial boundary is formed by outer border of vas rib. Okay, so these three are together forming boundary of the apex. Next we are going to the base. This part is forming the base. Okay, base is directed downward. Here is the apex. Opposite to the apex lies the base. Base is directed downward. It is formed by skin and the axillary fossa. It is a dome shaped. Base is dome shaped with convexity directed upward, and it extends from anterior to the posterior axillary folds. Okay. So here is the red one is the anterior axillary fold, yellow one is the posterior axillary fold. In between these two lies the dome shaped base of the axilla formed by the skin and the axillary fossa. Okay. Axillary fossa is the deep fossa of this area. Next we are going to anterior wall. This is sagittal section through the axilla. Okay. So you can see these structures are forming the anterior wall. Pectoralis formed by superficial to deep. Pectoralis major muscle. This large muscle is pectoralis major muscle. Here is the clavipectoral fossa, subclavius and pectoralis minor, and the suspensory ligament of the axilla, which holds the axillary fossa in dome shaped position. Okay, so all these structures are forming anterior boundary. So pectoralis major, clavipectoral fossa, pectoralis minor, subclavius. Okay, these are the main forming the anterior boundary, and these are the structures passing through the axilla. Different vessels and nerves, okay, branches of the brachial plexus, artery, axillary veins, all those are passing through the content. These are contents of the axilla. Next we are going to posterior wall. See, here is the posterior wall. It is formed by the subscapularis teres major and latissimus dorsi. Posterior wall is formed by these muscles. This is subscapularis, originating from the subscapular fossa of the scapula. Here is the teres major and here is latissimus dorsi. These are forming the posterior wall of the axilla. See, this schematic diagram like this you practice for axilla. Okay, anterior boundary, posterior boundary, medial, lateral boundary. Okay. Medial wall is convex here. See, this one is forming medial wall. Upper four ribs with intercostal spaces, serratus anterior muscle, and you can see it is convex outward. Okay, so it is convex laterally formed by upper four ribs and their intercostal muscles, upper 4 to 5 digitations of the serratus anterior muscles. Okay, so these are forming the medial wall of the axilla. Next is lateral wall. Here this narrow wall is the lateral wall. It is the narrowest wall, and coracobrachialis and short head of biceps brachii, they are together forming the boundaries of the lateral wall. And bicipital groove with its content is the tendon of long head of the biceps brachii. All these are forming the lateral wall of the axilla. Okay, understood? Next, so we have discussed the contents, apex, boundaries, apex, base and the four walls, anterior, posterior, medial and lateral wall. Okay, you have to see all these structures during the dissection. Okay, next we are going to the contents. Contents, you will mainly see the nerves and the vessels. Rest of the part, abundant fat, lymph nodes, all those are removed to dissect out these nerves and the vessels. Okay. So what are the contents of the axilla? Axillary artery and its branches, axillary vein and its tributaries, infraclavicular part of brachial plexus, axillary lymph nodes, axillary fat and connective tissue, and axillary tail of breast. Okay, so see, all these are contents. You can see the different cords of the brachial plexus, axillary vein, axillary artery, and other different branches from the infraclavicular part of the brachial plexus. Okay, these are contents of the axilla. See here you can see the relations of different structures. This diagram is very important to remember for identification of different structures. Okay, you write down these points how you will identify. Okay, first you identify the artery. Artery will be the axillary artery, and extent of axillary artery is from outer border of the first rib up to lower border of the teres major. Okay, teres minor, lower border of teres minor, and this pectoralis minor muscle is dividing the axillary artery into three parts: first part, second part, and the third part. And there are branches from these three parts. From the first part, single branch; second part, two branches; third part, three or four branches. Okay, so like these branches are coming out, we will discuss later on. So first you identify the artery. Artery will be single artery is thick artery is there. This is axillary artery. Okay, medial to the artery you find a thin walled luminal structure, that will be vein, axillary vein, which is, here is the vein. See, blue colored one represents the vein, and this is axillary vein. It is formed by continuation of the basilic vein after joining with the vena comitatus of the brachial artery. Okay, so this is axillary vein, and there are nerves. So this is first part, here is the second part, here is the third part of the artery. So around the second part, the cords of the brachial plexus will be arranged according to their names. Medial cord will be medially placed, lateral cord will be laterally placed, and posterior cord will be posteriorly placed. Okay. Next we are going to the branches of the different cords. That is important. Okay. So see, you will see two roots are joining together. Okay, and forming a single thick cord like nerve, that will be the median nerve. Okay, it will lie lateral to the artery. In between the artery and vein, at a superficial plane and more medially, will lie the medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm. These points you write down. Okay, median nerve is formed by joining of two roots, and it will lie lateral to the axillary artery. Write down this sentence in your copy. Everyone. Median nerve is formed by joining of two roots, medial root and lateral root, and after formation it will lie lateral to the axillary artery. নিজের ভাষায় লেখ না, বুঝতে তো পারছিস। Median nerve will lie lateral to the artery. This position is important. Okay. Now second point you write down, in between the axillary artery and axillary vein, at a superficial plane lies the medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm. In between the artery and vein, at a superficial plane lies the medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm. Okay, everyone has written. And at a deeper plane lies the ulnar nerve. In between the artery and vein, deeper plane lies the ulnar nerve. See here, this is the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and this thick nerve lying in a deeper plane in between the artery and vein is the ulnar nerve. Okay, so in between artery and vein, two structures are lying, one in superficial plane or more medially, and one in the deeper plane, thick structure. Thinner one will be the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and thick one will be the ulnar nerve lying in the deeper plane in between the artery and vein. Okay. Next, third point you write down, medial to the axillary vein lies this medial cutaneous nerve of the arm. Okay. Write this point. Medial to the axillary vein lies the medial cutaneous nerve of the arm. Understood? Okay. And long thoracic nerve will lie in the medial wall. Okay, it has not been shown. Long thoracic nerve or nerve to serratus anterior. Long thoracic nerve or nerve to serratus anterior will lie over the medial wall. Okay, and thoracodorsal nerve or nerve to latissimus dorsi, it will pierce the latissimus dorsi. Okay, and lower subscapular nerve, it will supply the subscapularis and the teres major muscle here. Subscapularis and teres major is supplied by lower subscapular nerve. Okay, and sometimes intercostobrachial nerve is present. It is a thin nerve coming from the second intercostal nerve. Okay, if present, I will show. And another nerve which was piercing the pectoralis minor, that is medial pectoral nerve. It is piercing through the pectoralis minor, then it supplying the pectoralis major. And lateral pectoral nerve was piercing the clavipectoral fossa. Okay, and axillary nerve and radial nerve will lie most posteriorly, posterior to the artery. Right, this point, posterior to the artery will lie the radial nerve. Okay, and which will enter into the spiral groove along with the profunda brachii artery. Posterior to the artery lies the radial nerve. Posterior to the artery lies the radial nerve which enters the spiral groove along with the profunda brachii artery, which is the largest branch of the brachial artery. See here, this is the radial nerve entering into the spiral groove. Okay, and if you trace the radial nerve proximally, you will reach the posterior cord, and from the posterior cord, you identify the axillary nerve. Axillary nerve is another branch from the posterior cord. So axillary nerve will lie on the posterior aspect of the surgical neck of humerus. That's how you identify the axillary nerve. Okay, understood? You trace back the radial nerve, reach up to the posterior cord, and from there you trace the axillary nerve. Okay, understood? That's how you identify the structure. Upper subscapular nerve, you will not see, it will lie near the apex along the upper margin of subscapularis muscle. And rest of the nerve I have discussed. Another is musculocutaneous nerve. This point you also note down. Musculocutaneous nerve is piercing the coracobrachialis muscle. Okay. Musculocutaneous nerve will pierce the coracobrachialis muscle. Okay, understood? Okay, so these nerves together forming a M-like formation. See this musculocutaneous nerve, the two roots of median nerve and the ulnar nerve, they are together forming a M-like formation here. Okay, this is also sometimes asked in Viva. Which structures are forming the different limbs of the M? Okay, understood? So these are the important nerves and how you will identify during the dissection. Understood? According to their relation with the artery and the vein. So axilla or armpit is a pyramidal shaped space. These are the boundaries. Here are the contents. Apex is known as cervicoaxillary canal, lies between the clavicle, scapula and first rib, triangular, and base is formed by the skin and the fossa, axillary fossa, and anterior wall is formed by the pectoralis major, clavipectoral fossa and pectoralis minor, and posterior wall is formed by the subscapularis, teres major and latissimus dorsi, and medial wall is formed by upper four ribs and intercostal muscles and the serratus anterior, and lateral wall is formed by coracobrachialis, biceps brachii and the bicipital groove. Okay. So these are the boundaries of the axilla, and here are the contents: axillary artery and its branches, axillary vein and its tributaries, infraclavicular part of brachial plexus, axillary lymph nodes and axillary fat. Okay, this is also asked in your Viva. What are the contents of the axilla? Okay, also comes as a part of the long question, contents of the axilla. Next, we will discuss important contents in details. Axillary artery, axillary vein, we will discuss, okay. And brachial plexus, we have already discussed. So, axillary artery, it is the main supply to the upper limb. Where it begins, it is the continuation of the subclavian artery and at the outer border of the first rib. From the outer border of the first rib, it starts, okay. How it terminates? It continues as brachial artery at the lower border of the teres major muscle. Okay, these points are very frequently asked. This is very importantly given OSPI question. Okay, you identify the artery, where it begins, where it terminates, which muscle divides it into three parts, what are the branches of the artery, all these are asked in your OSPI question. Okay. So it terminates at the level of lower border of teres major muscle and continues as the brachial artery. Okay. So what is the course? It runs, see here, this is the subclavian artery, here it originates from the, as a continuation of subclavian artery from outer border of first rib up to the lower margin of teres major. And this pectoralis minor muscle is dividing it into three parts, first part, second part, third part. Okay. And you practice a schematic diagram like this for axillary artery. This is also can also come as a long question. Axillary artery. It runs downward and forward and laterally with lateral convexity, and in outstretched arm, axillary artery runs horizontally straight. See here, this is the axillary artery. It's three parts. Here it begins and here is the ending. And this pectoralis minor is dividing it into three parts. See, from the first part, single branch, superior thoracic artery. From the second part, two branch, thoracoacromial artery and lateral thoracic artery. Okay. This one is lateral thoracic, thoracoacromial. Thoracoacromial you have seen during the clavipectoral fossa. It was piercing the clavipectoral fossa, dividing into four branches. Okay, so these two branches from second part, thoracoacromial artery and the lateral thoracic. And from the third part, the three branches. Okay, this is subscapular artery, and from its one important branch is circumflex scapular, winding round the lateral border of the scapula in between two heads of teres minor and forming a depression along the lateral border of scapula. And these two arteries, anterior and posterior circumflex humeral arteries, these are branches from third part of the axillary artery. Okay, understood? So, and below this level, it continues downward as the brachial artery. So, these are the branches of the axillary artery. And from the thoracoacromial, it is giving four branches. Clavicular branch, here is the acromial branch, deltoid branch, pectoral branch, you have seen already. So, these are the parts of the axillary artery. It is crossed anteriorly by pectoralis minor, and pectoralis minor divides the axillary artery into three parts. First part is proximal to the muscle, second part is posterior or deep to the muscle, third part is distal to the muscle. And to identify the axillary artery, you have to clean the lower part of the axilla, where third part of artery is the largest content of the axilla, and artery lies inferomedial to the coracobrachialis muscle, biceps brachii and coracoid process. Okay. Next, we are going to different relations. Relations of first part, second part and third part we will discuss. Relations of second part is important. Okay. So, relation of first part, anterior, see here, this is the first part. Anterior relations are anterior wall of axilla. This is anterior wall of axilla formed by this pectoralis major, except the pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor here not present. Pectoralis major clavicular part, clavipectoral fascia. Here is the clavipectoral fascia, loop of communication between lateral and medial pectoral nerve. See here, this is loop of communication between the lateral and medial pectoral nerve. All these are forming anterior relations of the first part. Next, posterior relations. This is posterior relation, medial cord of brachial plexus. This is medial cord of brachial plexus, Long thoracic nerve, here is the long thoracic nerve, serratus anterior muscle, first and second digitation, and the first intercostal space. All these are forming posterior relation of the first part. Next is medial relation. Medial relation is axillary vein. This large structure is the axillary vein. And lateral relation, lateral and posterior cords of brachial plexus. These two cords, lateral and posterior cords of brachial plexus. So these are the relations of first part of the axillary artery. Next you are going to relations of second part. This is asked in your viva. So anterior relations are anterior wall of axilla including the pectoralis minor. See, this pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, clavipectoral fossa, all these are forming anterior relations. Posterior relations are formed by these two structures, posterior cord of brachial plexus and subscapularis, part of posterior wall of the axilla. Next is medial relations. Medial relations are formed by medial cord of brachial plexus and axillary vein. And lateral relations, lateral cord of brachial plexus and coracobrachialis, muscle of lateral wall of the axilla. Okay, so it is easy. You practice the diagram, you will understand the relation. Okay. Next, we are going to relations of third part. Multiple structures are related here. Here the cords are giving their branches also. Okay. So the anterior relations here, anterior relation will be medial root of median nerve here and the pectoralis major muscle. And posterior relations will be radial nerve, axillary nerve in the upper part. Here is the radial nerve, axillary nerve in the upper part, and posterior wall of axilla found by subscapularis in the upper part and latissimus dorsi and teres major in the lower part. Subscapularis in the upper part, teres major and latissimus dorsi in the lower part, posterior wall. Next, we are going to medial relation. Medial relation is formed by medial cutaneous nerve of forearm and the arm here. Medial cutaneous nerve of forearm and the arm. Okay, you can see here also. In between the artery and vein at the superficial plane is lying this medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. And in between the artery and vein at a deeper plane lies this ulnar nerve. Okay, and posterior to the artery lies this radial nerve. Anterior to the artery, here lies the median nerve, and lateral to the artery will be the musculocutaneous nerve. And medial to the vein lies the medial cutaneous nerve of the arm. Okay. So here also the relations are clear. So medial relations will be medial cutaneous nerve of forearm and arm, ulnar nerve, axillary vein. All these are medial relation. Lateral relation is the musculocutaneous nerve. So these are the origin summarization of the axillary artery. It is the major artery supplying the upper limb. Origin and termination, it is a continuation of the subclavian artery at the outer border of first rib. And termination, it continue as brachial artery at lower border of teres major muscle. And these are the relations. First part, anterior relation, pectoralis major, posterior is medial cord of brachial plexus, long thoracic nerve, serratus anterior, first intercostal space. Medial relation is axillary vein, lateral relation is lateral and posterior cords of brachial plexus. And second part relations are anterior relation is pectoralis major and minor, posterior relation is posterior cord of brachial plexus, subscapularis. Medial relation is medial cord of brachial plexus and axillary vein, and lateral relation is lateral cord of brachial plexus and coracobrachialis. And third part, anterior relation pectoralis major and medial root of median nerve. Posteriorly, radial nerve, axillary nerve, subscapularis, teres major, latissimus dorsi. And third part, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, ulnar nerve, axillary vein, medial cutaneous nerve of arm, and musculocutaneous nerve lateral relation. Okay, so these are the relations we have already discussed. And these are the branches we have seen in the picture. First part branches is superior thoracic, second part two branch, thoracoacromial trunk and the lateral thoracic artery. And third part subscapular artery, anterior circumflex humeral artery, posterior circumflex humeral artery. Okay. Branches are very frequently given in your OSPI. So branch, first you practice a schematic diagram. First part branch is superior thoracic artery. Second part thoracoacromial trunk gives the pectoral, acromial, clavicular and deltoid branches, and the lateral thoracic artery. Here is the lateral thoracic artery. Third part subscapular artery. Here is the subscapular artery. Anterior and posterior circumflex humeral arteries. So these are the branches of axillary arteries. Next, we are going to clinical aspects of the axillary artery. Why it is important? Pulsation of the axillary artery can be felt against the shaft of the humerus. Okay, forms the lateral wall in the lower part of the axilla. Here you can feel the axillary pulse. Okay, at the junction between the anterior 1/3, posterior 2/3 of the line joining the two axillary fold. And compression, this is important for your surface marking also. Okay, how we will draw the axillary artery. Next is compression of the axillary artery. It can be compressed against the humerus to stop the blood supply during different surgery of the upper limb. Main artery of the upper limb is the axillary artery, and another is aneurysm of axillary artery. Aneurysm means dilatation. Dilatation, especially in its first part, occurs and may compress the trunks of the brachial plexus, and there will be different symptoms of compression. Okay. So these are the aneurysm have been shown. See, this part is dilated. First part also involving some part of second part, or this part is dilated and it will compress the different parts of the brachial plexus. Okay. So weakness in the arterial wall, dilatation of the arterial wall, and that will lead to aneurysm of the axillary artery. Okay, understood? Next, we are going to axillary vein. This is also given in your OSPI question. Okay, you have to identify the structure and answer related questions. Okay, beginning, termination, different tributaries you will be asked. So it is the major vein that drains the upper limb. And how it is formed? It is formed by union of basilic vein and the brachial vein at the lower border of the teres major muscle. And veni comitatus of the brachial artery unite to form the brachial vein. Okay. What is the course? It passes through the axilla on medial side of the axillary artery. You have already seen in picture. This is the artery, here is the vein. So vein is lying medial to the artery. Okay. What is the termination? It continues as the subclavian vein at the lateral border of the first rib and leaves the axilla. See, it continues upward as the subclavian vein from the outer border of the first rib. Okay. See here, these are the different tributaries. Cephalic vein, you have seen cephalic vein. Cephalic vein was piercing through the clavipectoral fossa and going to drain into the axillary vein. Okay, so here you can see cephalic vein is draining into the axillary vein. The superior thoracic vein, lateral thoracic vein, subscapular vein, veni comitatus of brachial arteries, basilic vein, anterior, posterior, circumflex humeral veins, all these are tributaries of this axillary vein. Okay, understood? Some are formative tributaries and some are other tributaries. Okay. And this is profunda brachii vein along with the profunda brachii artery. These are the veni comitatus. Veni comitatus means smaller vein lying along the large arteries. Okay. So see here, these two veins are lying on the two sides of the brachial artery. These two are joining along with the basilic vein to form this axillary vein. Here is the formation at the lower margin of teres major. And after that it continues upward, receiving all those tributaries and ends at this level at the outer border of first rib and continues upward as the subclavian vein. Okay, and the tributaries are almost corresponding to the branch of the arteries, same name of as the branch of arteries. See, the superior thoracic vein, thoracocephalic vein, here is lateral thoracic vein, subscapular vein, circumflex humeral veins. Okay, these are tributaries. So tributary is a cephalic vein, veins accompanying the branches of axillary artery except the thoracoacromial trunk. There is cephalic vein. No vein corresponds with the thoracoacromial trunk. Okay, and thoracoepigastric vein. This is formed by anastomosis of the superficial veins from the inguinal region and tributaries of the axillary vein. And this is the incision line for axilla. You see here, this is how incision is given. You have to identify the sternal angle where the second rib is joining. Okay, so second costal cartilage is joining with the sternum. So identify this from here, second space, third rib, fourth rib. Along the fourth rib, a point is taken along the anterior axillary fold. Okay, and this incision is extended to the posterior axillary fold. Next, this another incision is given along the anterior axillary fold up to the junction of upper 1/4 and lower 3/4 of the arm. Okay, and from this point, another incision and extending posteriorly, joining the anterior and posterior axillary folds, and then the skin flap is extended posteriorly. Okay, after the reflecting the skin flap, you will see the superficial fascia. Okay, superficial fascia, then you will get the contents, axillary pad of fat, different lymph nodes, all those you have to remove to dissect out those main structures, arteries, veins, and the different nerves. Okay, you have to dissect carefully because the nerves are embedded within the fat pads. Okay, and this is the schematic diagram of the axilla, pyramidal shaped space. Here is the apex formed by the cervicoaxillary canal. Here is the base formed by the dome shaped axillary fascia. This is medial wall, lateral wall, anterior wall, posterior wall. Okay, these are the boundaries of the axilla. Next, we are going to arm. Arm is the part of the upper limb that extends from shoulder joint to the elbow joint, from here to here. This is the arm. And in common language, arm means entire upper limb. That entire upper limb is not considered anatomically as an arm. Okay, so humerus is the bone of the arm, and there are two compartments of the arm. You have to know the muscles included in these compartments. All those muscles are given in your OSPI, biceps brachii, coracobrachialis, brachialis. All those are important muscles given in your OSPI questions. You have to know origin, insertion, nerve supply, action of all these muscles. Okay, and artery of this compartment is the axillary artery, and nerve of this compartment is musculocutaneous nerve. Okay, flexor compartment we will discuss. So anterior or flexor compartment, posterior or extensor compartment. Now we will discuss only the anterior compartment. In Latin, brachium means arm. Hence, many structures in the arm are named on this term. For example, brachial artery, brachialis, and so on. Okay. In the arm, these are the soft tissue landmarks. You will see a rounded contour of the shoulder. This is formed by the deltoid muscle. Okay, so here is the deltoid muscle. Next is the biceps brachii. Here will be the biceps brachii in front of the arm. The belly of the biceps brachii muscle can be seen in the middle of the arm in flexed elbow. Here it becomes prominent during the flexing, and its tendon can be felt in front of the elbow. Here you can feel the tendon of the biceps brachii. And brachial artery pulsation, it can be felt just medial to the tendon of the biceps brachii in front of the elbow here. Okay. Next is ulnar nerve. It lies behind the medial epicondyle. Here is the medial epicondyle. Behind the medial epicondyle, you will get the ulnar nerve here. There will be tingling sensation if you roll the ulnar nerve against the humerus. So ulnar nerve, it lies behind the medial epicondyle, and here it can be felt by rolling the nerve against the medial epicondyle. So see here, this is section through the arm, okay, and this is skin. Outermost is the skin. This is deep fossa. Deep fossa is deep fossa of the arm is known as antebrachial fossa. Okay, So, and from the deep fossa, some extensions are extending up to the supracondylar ridge. So, up to the medial supracondylar ridge, this is medial intermuscular septum, and up to the lateral supracondylar ridge, lateral intermuscular septum. And these two septums are dividing the muscles of the arm into anterior compartment or flexor compartment, posterior compartment or extensor compartment. Okay. So the deep fossa of the arm is called the brachial fossa, and deep fossa encircles the muscles of the arm and sends extension in between the muscles in the form of medial and lateral intermuscular septum. These are the intermuscular septum. And medial intermuscular septum connects the deep fascia with the medial supracondylar ridge and medial border of the humerus. And lateral intermuscular septum connects the deep fascia with the lateral supracondylar ridge and lateral border of the humerus. Okay. And the compartments of the arm is divided into anterior or flexor compartment and posterior or extensor compartment. Anterior compartment contains these muscles, biceps brachii, coracobrachialis, brachialis, and the muscles arising from lateral supracondylar ridge. And transverse intermuscular septum separates the biceps from brachialis here. Superficial portion biceps and deep portion will be the brachialis. Okay, and here will be the coracobrachialis. This part is formed by the coracobrachialis, medial part. And the antero-posterior intermuscular septum separates the muscle arising from the lateral supracondylar ridge from the brachialis. So these are the compartments: flexor compartment, different muscle, extensor compartment. Okay, understood? Separated by this intermuscular septum, medial and lateral intermuscular septum joining with the different supracondylar region. Okay, so anterior compartment of arm contains the following structures. Muscles are these three: biceps brachii, coracobrachialis, brachialis. Nerves is the musculocutaneous nerve. This is the main nerve supplying all the muscles. Other nerves will pass through this compartment. Okay, you will see all those nerves which we will see during the axilla that will pass through the anterior compartment, but they are not giving any branches here. They are giving branches on the posterior aspect or in the forearm or hand. Okay, so other nerves are median nerve, ulnar nerve, radial nerve pass through the anterior compartment of the arm, and artery is the brachial artery. So muscles of the anterior compartment are these three muscles: coracobrachialis, biceps brachii, and brachialis, and these muscles are supplied by the musculocutaneous nerve. Okay, see here the muscles. This is biceps brachii. See, their origin is by long head and short head. Long head originates from supraglenoid tubercle, short head originates from tip of coracoid process. Joined together to form the muscle belly and then inserted into the posterior part of the radial tuberosity. Okay, and one extension is bicipital aponeurocyte going to insert into the ulna. Next is coracobrachialis, originates from tip of coracoid process, insert near the middle of the shaft of the humerus in the rough oval area, and nerve supply is by the musculocutaneous nerve. Here also musculocutaneous nerve. Next is brachialis, origin is from the anteromedial and post anterolateral surface of lower half of the humerus. Okay, and inserted into the anterior surface of the coronoid process of ulna. It is a composite muscle because half of the it is supplied by the musculocutaneous nerve, other half is supplied by other nerve. Okay, so we will discuss the muscles in details. Each of these muscles can be given in your OSPI questions, and for OSPI you have to answer the origin, insertion, nerve supply, and the action of the muscle. Okay, so coracobrachialis, here this muscle is coracobrachialis. It is a small muscle that morphologically represents the medial compartment of the arm. This is the originates from tip of coracoid process of the scapula along with the short head of biceps brachii. Insert in the middle 5 semi of medial border of the humerus. Nerve supply is musculocutaneous nerve. Action, it is a flexure and adductor of the arm. Next is coracobrachialis represents the medial compartment of the arm, and in lower limb there is separate adductor or medial compartment in the thigh. There is no separate medial compartment. Only this muscle represents the medial compartment. The coracobrachialis muscle is pierced by the musculocutaneous nerve. That's how you identify the muscle. Okay, and the nerve also. What is ligament of Struther? This you have read during the humerus class. Ligament of Struther. It is occasionally present and extends from the trochlear spine to the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and morphologically it represents the third head of the coracobrachialis, and this musculocutaneous nerve passes between the two heads of coracobrachialis. Morphologically, coracobrachialis muscle has two heads and musculocutaneous nerve passes through these two heads. And coracobrachialis is also called Caesar's perforated muscle as it is pierced by the musculocutaneous nerve. Okay. So this is the summary: origin, tip of coracoid process, insertion, middle 5 semi of medial border of humerus. Nerve supply is musculocutaneous nerve. Action is flexion and adduction of the arm. Next we are going to biceps brachii. Very frequently asked question, biceps brachii. The biceps brachii arises by two heads. Long head originates from supraglenoid tubercle of scapula. Short head originates from tip of coracoid process of scapula. And direction of fibers, both the heads join in the middle of the arm to form the fusiform belly of the muscle. And in the lower part of the arm, the muscle forms the aponeurosis, bicipital aponeurosis, and the thick tendon. And the biceps brachii crosses the shoulder joint and elbow joint, hence it acts at both these two joints. And tendon is insert on the posterior part of radial tuberosity, and bicipital aponeurosis extends on the medial side to the ulna and merges with the deep fascia of the forearm. So here is the insertion of the tendon in the radial tuberosity, and this is bicipital aponeurosis. It merges with the deep fascia of the forearm. Origin by two heads, muscle belly, insertion. Okay. And here is one bursa is present near the tendon, that is known as bicipito-radial bursa. It prevents friction between the tendon and the bone. Okay. Nerve supply is musculocutaneous nerve. Action is supination of the flexed elbow. This is very important task. Action is supination, not only flexion. Supination of the flexed elbow is done by the biceps. Flexion of the elbow joint, strong action. Flexion of the shoulder joint, weak action, weak flexion of the shoulder. Long head prevents upward displacement of the shoulder joint. See here, there is the position of long head. So this is shoulder joint, so prevent displacement of head of the radius from the glenoid cavity. Okay. And how you will test? Ask the patient to flex the elbow against resistance. Against resistance, you flex the elbow and here you palpate the biceps. In supinated forearm position and palpate the contracted muscle. How you check the function of the biceps. So origin, short head, tip of coracoid process, long head, supraglenoid tubercle of scapula, insertion, radial tuberosity, aponeurosis or deep fascia, bicipital aponeurosis. Nerve supply is musculocutaneous nerve. Action is supination of flexed forearm, flexion of the arm and the forearm. Okay, so these are action of biceps brachii. Next we are going to brachialis muscle. Brachialis originates from humerus, lower half of anteromedial and anterolateral surfaces of the humerus, and anterior surface of the anterior and medial intermuscular septa. Direction of fibers, brachialis form a bulky muscle that lies posterior to the lower part of the biceps brachii, and the fibers run vertically downward and converge towards the coronoid process of ulna. Okay, and insertion is into by brachialis insert on the anterior surface of coronoid process and ulnar tuberosity of the ulna. Nerve supply is musculocutaneous nerve, supplies the medial and maximum part of the muscle, and radial nerve supply small lateral part. Okay, that's why the radial nerve carries the proprioception from the brachialis muscle. That's why it is a composite muscle, okay, supplied by two nerves. Action brachialis is strong flexure of the elbow joint. Strong flexure is the brachialis and hence called workhorse of the elbow joint. Okay, main flexure of the elbow joint is brachialis, not biceps. Biceps is also supinator. Okay. Clinical testing asks to flex the elbow against the resistance and palpate the contracted muscle. So brachialis origin lower half of anterior surface of humerus, medial and lateral intermuscular septa. Insertion is into the coronoid process of ulna and the ulnar tuberosity. Nerve supply medial part musculocutaneous nerve, lateral small part radial nerve, and action is flexion of the forearm. Next, we are going to nerve of this compartment is the musculocutaneous nerve. It is the main nerve to supply all the muscles in front of the arm, and it is the branch of lateral cord of brachial plexus. And this is root value C5, C6, ventral primary rami of 5th and 6th cervical spinal nerve. Termination, it continues as lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm 2 centimeter above the elbow. This is also given in your OSPI question. Okay, beginning, termination, root value, supplying muscles, all those will be asked in your OSPI. Okay, see here, this is anterior compartment muscles, biceps brachii, brachialis. Okay, and these are the muscles attached to the lateral supracondylar ridge, brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus. In between the biceps and brachialis lies this musculocutaneous nerve. Okay, and here lies the artery with the vena comitantis. Here is the basilic vein, median nerve, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Okay. So musculocutaneous nerve arises from lateral cord of brachial plexus in the lower part of axilla, pierces the coracobrachialis, runs downward and laterally between the biceps and the brachialis, and emerges on the lateral side of tendon of biceps brachii and continue as the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. These are the relations of musculocutaneous nerve. In the lower part of axilla, anteriorly pectoralis major, posteriorly subscapularis, medially axillary artery, laterally coracobrachialis. In the upper part of arm, musculocutaneous nerve lies in the substance of the coracobrachialis muscle, and in the middle part of nerve lies between biceps and brachialis and pierces the deep fossa at about 2 cm above the elbow joint and continues downward as the lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. So the branches and distribution, muscular branches in the arm for these muscles, coracobrachialis, biceps, brachialis, large medial part, cutaneous branch is lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm for skin of lateral side of the forearm, articular branches for shoulder joint and elbow joint. Here you can see the course of the nerve. Musculocutaneous nerve piercing through coracobrachialis, lying between the biceps and brachialis, and here it is continuing downward as the lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm and supplying all these muscles. And damage to the musculocutaneous nerve will lead to paralysis of biceps brachii. There will be weakness of supination and loss of biceps tendon reflex, loss of cutaneous sensation along the lateral aspect of the forearm, and paralysis of brachialis muscle will lead to weakness of flexion of the elbow. Okay. This is how you test the biceps brachii. Here you feel the muscle and test during flexion of elbow against resistance. Resistance is applied via this hand. Okay, apply resistance and feel the contraction of the muscle. Here is the tendon, you palpate the tendon here and elicit the biceps tendon jerk. Okay, it is tapped with the hammer and there will be jerk flexion. And this is roots of this jerk, sensory neuron, motor neuron, and their connecting neuron in the spinal cord. So musculocutaneous nerve is branch of lateral cord of brachial plexus, root value is C5, C6, continues as lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm, and course arises in lower part of axilla lateral to the axillary artery, pierces the coracobrachialis, runs deep to the biceps and superficial to coracobrachialis and brachialis, and these are the branches, muscular branches for coracobrachialis, biceps and brachialis, cutaneous branches to lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm, and articular branches for shoulder joint and elbow joint. Next is brachial artery in the arm. Okay.